Good day everybody and welcome to DX Explorer. Here's a video different from the rest of the videos that I usually put on YouTube. It's more like an introduction to DX Explorer, both for the YouTube channel and also for the website. Just because I never had the chance to do it, I was actually more excited about building the projects that I presented on the channel until now. And I have a couple of more on the waiting list. I'll show you in just a little bit. But I wanted to start this video with a question. How did you start it in amateur radio or just radio hobby in general? And I'm saying this just because in this video I'm gonna tell you a little story about how it all started for me. But the idea came a couple of days ago while sending voice messages through email with my friend Nigel from New Zealand. Nigel is one of the subscribers to the YouTube channel, and we started making fun that we're basically sending radio shows to each other by recording nearly half an hour messages and telling stories about amateur radio hobby and childhood memories. So I thought it's a great chance to talk about that a little bit with all of you, and maybe you can share those stories with me as well, either through a video on your channel and I get to watch it, and why not maybe send me an email and tell me a little story. So yeah, anyway, let's jump quick on the desk and show you the projects that I've been working on until now. A couple of projects I'm trying to finish, and I also have a few more projects on the list that I will make videos about them in a couple of days, one by one, slowly as I'm getting the parts, because I don't always have the necessary parts to build the project from start to finish. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Anyway, let's get back on the desk, and I'll share with you a couple of pictures as well, and show you the projects I'm working on. And while I'm doing that, I'm also gonna tell you my childhood story about how I started in amateur radio. All right, so basically, I guess my start with amateur radio, it was pretty much like probably for everybody else in the childhood. Um, I remember my dad built a receiver, a radio receiver. It was a crystal radio with two transistors, audio amplifier, and a 4.5 battery, 4.5 volt battery. That was working probably for like 4 or 5 months in a row, nearly non-stop, and we used to listen to that radio. And anyway, my father died when I was 6, so we didn't get to hang out together too much. But I remember he was reading this old Romanian magazine. It was called Technium, something similar to Popular Mechanics maybe. And anyway, later on, I started to read that magazine as well, borrowing it from friends, and I started to build this little circuit. Very simple. I had no clue about electronics, about anything. Well, nothing pretty much worked until one day when I got a kit. It was called Electronic Dog or something like that, and I built that one, and it was making a sound like a barking sound, and that was my first kit, and that one actually worked. And I was probably around 8 or 9 years old when I built that one. And anyway, later on I grew up a little bit. I started to learn a little more, and at some point the radio that my dad built stopped working. So I banged my head in all the walls trying to make it work, but I couldn't. So I ended up building another one in the same box. So I built another crystal radio with another audio amplifier, same, working from a 4.5 volt battery, and got it to work. Anyway, that was actually the start into this. And the about strictly about amateur radio, it's probably the same early age, 6 7 years old. In the same Technium magazine, I've seen a picture of an HF transceiver, and I remember, yeah, I was probably 6 because I my dad was still alive, and I asked him what is that, and he told me that it's a transceiver. It's used by amateur radio operators to communicate all over the world. So I got all excited about that, and well, that was my start. Anyway, later on, probably about 17 or 18, maybe, I can't remember exactly, but probably 17, I started to build what it became today, the Sputnik receiver. It was also published in the Technium magazine. It was called, in Romanian it's called receptor, which in English it's the receptor. As my friend Daryl, Radionaut 63 from Canada, he named it, and we both built that old version of the receiver. To be honest, I wasn't very happy about it, also because it had a mistake, an intentional mistake on the PCB that you had to figure out to make it work. And I was told later on by another friend that got me into the world of CB radio later on, Silvio from Deva. And he told me that they used to do this thing just because they wanted the people to pay attention and learn from mistakes. Well, I didn't pay attention. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was just trying to make it work. And I got a little disappointed, but I made that receiver 3 4 times, and I think the fourth time finally worked. Well, anyway, I've rebuilt the receiver sometimes a couple of years back maybe, and you can see it in the photos on the screen. That was one of the first versions of the receiver, of the Sputnik, to say like that. It was using the original schematic, and I think that was the actual start. That's when I started to think about getting an amateur radio license, just because I started to listen to the SSB signals and CW signals with that receiver, and I got even more excited about the whole thing. And of course, well, I started working on a cruise ship. There was no way for me to do this. Vacations were always too short. I was young. I was busy doing other things. And I knew that at some point in life I'll get back to this, and I guess this is the best time ever, because to be honest, I feel I'm like 40. I'll be 41 now in September, and I feel like a little child. I feel like I'm back on 16, 17 every time I start working on these projects. Why QRP? QRP, probably because it's the schematics of all the transmitters, receivers, or transmitters, most of them are very simple, and because I'm not an electrical engineer, I don't know anything much about electronics. I'm learning, as most of you here on YouTube, and basically we're learning from other people that know more than us. And that's also the reason I've made the YouTube channel and the website, trying to share all the projects that I'm building, and in case somebody with more experience will notice a mistake that I'm doing, or has a better idea of things that I should do to do the things to work better, well, I think today it's the easiest way to share this and get advice. So anyway, basically what's on the website and on the YouTube channel is nothing special. I'm not planning to build things just for the fun of making videos. I'm actually filming the videos while I'm doing projects for myself. So um, in a way, it's kind of sharing my experience and the steps that I'm taking to into amateur radio. And I guess here on the table you can see all the stuff that I built lately since I've opened this channel. I used to have another DX Explorer YouTube channel in the past, but by mistake I deleted the channel. Actually, I deleted both of my channels, this one and also the one that I used to have videos about my sailing adventures. But anyway, let me show you really quick in the order that I built them. So you've seen the Sputnik receiver in the photos, the first version. I believe that's where it all started, and then the Sputnik took a bunch of turns, ending up in different schematics and different designs until I finished it with this one over here. After that, anyway, somewhere between the older versions of the Sputnik and the new one, I received a present from my sister for my birthday while I was in Italy. Once I came back from the sailboat, and it's the 49er QRP kit. This was supposed to be a 3 watts 40 meters band CW transceiver, fixed frequency, crystal controlled, but I've never got that power out of this thing, and actually it was less even than half of that power. So I ended up changing the final transistor with a BD139, and now it's the output is somewhere around over 1 watt. Then I started to work on a CW key made out of wood. This one was pretty nice to build. It's made out of old pallet wood and a couple of junk parts that I found. And a lot of other things. Now lately my friend Nigel sent me this Pixie that I messed up just because I wanted to test a couple of theories and trying to make it better. I basically destroyed the PCB board, but the experiments worked and I got it to sound just a little bit better. Well, with the help of my friends from Rawave Technologies, I managed to actually build a proper one. So thank you. Again, you can go and visit the channel on the English version of the videos are on the QRP with me. And yeah, anyway, I've put probably just half of the modifications that I've made on the other one in this one. I tried to keep it as close as possible to the original. Yeah, probably I'll talk about this in a later video. Then what else? I've built this dual band low pass filter inspired by Peter Parker, VK3 Yankee Echo, if I'm not mistaken. Then I've built this resonant CW speaker, which is made out of a medication box for pigeons with a speaker inside, and it's resonating on somewhere around 650 hertz. And yeah, I have a lot of other projects, mini 49-to-1 transformer. I'm not sure if the camera is focusing, but I took it apart just because I ended up building the other ones that I can't show you right now because they are up on the roof of the house. Then I've built this mini antenna tuner with just one capacitor and an inductor. What else? A bunch of other things. This filter for the input power to eliminate the interferences from the DC voltage and AC voltage and stuff like that. Anyway, and I have a lot of other projects that are on the waiting list and they're coming, as I'm also learning and testing and experimenting with more stuff. So basically I've shown you the 10 minutes transmitter in one of the videos that I've built. This is Michigan Mighty Might that will come at some point. This is also the way I'm actually preparing projects for the future. because I had a lot of people telling me that I don't have the parts for this, I don't have the parts for that. I don't have them either, trust me. I have a bunch of junk parts here in boxes that I'm keeping, and I keep checking and checking and checking to see if I manage to get my hands on newer parts. Sometimes I buy new parts as well, like for now I had to buy the RF connector and the toroid and stuff like that, but usually I reuse the older parts that I get from old boards. I just unsolder them and putting them in little boxes and trying to separate them and use them in projects. So basically I'm making a list of the parts that I need for a specific project. I take a little box like this and then I just fill it up with the parts that I need. And when I don't have them, I'm just keeping the box on the table and I'm waiting until I have that part and I completed the list, and then I start building the project. Same here. I think in here, what I have in here? Here it's the newer version of the 10 minutes transmitter made with a BD139 and switchable crystals, 7030 and 7040. I'm still thinking of using a variable capacitor as well, but probably I'm gonna keep that for another version of the Pixie. I'm going to take this Pixie apart, use the parts to build a version for 3.5 megahertz, and it will have a VXO, thanks to Peter Parker for his videos that I've learned how to do that. It will have an improved output sound. I'm still thinking if I'm going to keep it simple, as I made the same modification for this Pixie, or maybe add a CW filter, LEDs, and the beeper that I don't have in here. And yeah, what else? I have actually a proper antenna tuner that I'm going to build. It's here on the list as well. I will have a watt meter. I think you probably seen the first version of this one, the test version, but it works perfectly. And this one also has a dummy load when I'm using some powerful resistors, so I can use the watt meter for like 10-15 watts of power. And yeah, the list is growing. I have the PTTico actually, CW transceiver with just one single transistor, and a bunch of other things. So yeah, as I'm learning, I'm building more things, I'm building more antennas, I'm experimenting with different antennas. I'm trying to get my hands on more measurement equipment because I don't have. And yeah, hopefully soon I'll have my amateur radio license as well, and I'll be able to use all the stuff that I'm building right now in different DXpeditions for QRP. So yeah, that's why QRP, because everything is so simple. I mean, look at a Pixie. It's just a couple of parts put together. It's a kit now, but you can also build it from scratch, and I think it's more satisfaction like that. For like the way I've built the Sputnik receiver, I'm also very happy about the way it came out, and I also use it with pleasure. Every time I come at the desk, I just can't keep my hands away from it. I have to play around with it just because I know I've built it from scratch, and it's a great feeling. For those people that have a lot of disappointments because projects don't work, just as my friend Nigel was telling me when I couldn't figure out about the Pixie, just put it on the table for a couple of days and then come back with fresh powers. And trust me, at some point, if you don't give up, you'll get to see the mistakes that you've done, and it will work. So yeah, if you're disappointed, don't be. As you learn, as you read more, sometimes you just stay in bed watching a different video from somebody else, or you're reading an article in a book or a blog, and you'll see something on the schematic, and then boom, the light bulb in your head will turn on and make you realize what's the mistake that you've done and you had to fix. So yeah, that's how things work for me. And now I'm trying to get, yeah, as I was saying, more measurement equipment, and hopefully make my life easier. And yeah, I started with just this, a very simple digital multimeter, and that's all I had until probably last year or 2 years ago, when my sister bought me another one. Let me see if I can take it apart, or not take it apart, to show it to you actually. Yeah, it's this one. It's not expensive. It probably is not very precise either. I'm pretty sure it's made in China, but it works and it makes my life easy. Uh, then it was hard for me to measure capacitors, so I ended up buying this one, which probably it's also not very precise, but it's enough for me to make my life really easy. And then there was another a lot of other parts that I couldn't measure, especially inductors, so I ended up buying this one. Pretty sure you all know this one. Unfortunately, I'm a little disappointed because I can't measure inductances smaller than 10 microhenries, I think, and that's exactly what I have to measure most of the time. Inductances like 0.5, 1, 2, 3 microhenries, and I can't. So probably when I have more money, I'll buy a proper LC meter. Anyway, yeah, that's how it all started for me. That's what I'm doing now, and hopefully I'll have interesting videos for you, and trying to share my learning process on amateur radio and on the amateur radio hobby. It's really exciting, at least for me, to build all these little things, and then probably it's going to be even more exciting to use them. um, so yeah, what can I say? All I want to say is thank you for visiting. If you will be watching this on a blog at some point, or on the YouTube channel, thank you for subscribing. I want to say thank you to all the people that subscribed to the channel until now. I just noticed I went over 500 subscribers by the time I'm making this video. So yeah, I'm happy. There are many people that are sharing the same hobby like I do, and I'm very excited to email back and forward with most of the subscribers. I also apologize if I don't get to answer to the emails as fast as I wish, but sometimes work is a lot more important than the hobby, so we have to take care of that. So anyway, thank you for everything. Again, welcome to DX Explorer, and I hope we get to share this for a long time from now on. Best wishes to you all, and don't forget to share your stories through emails or videos or through the comments down below. Thank you one more time for subscribing. Until next week, 73.